Hello and welcome to Property Box Weekly News. I'm Nuria Cairns. Welcome to our post-election special. The last few weeks have been a bit of a roller coaster as key figures in the election battle made promises that had the potential to impact investors across the country. The results thus far have been surprising, to put it mildly, with the Conservatives retaining power with a small majority. What does this mean for property investors? Tyrone mentor and property investor Cormack had this to say.
Well, after many weeks of campaigning, here we are in the morning after the election, and we've got that same old government position, Conservatives with the main number of seats, but of course they're now going to have to go and make another coalition with whom? Well, ultimately it could be the Lib Dems. If that's the case, we've now got a 5-year track record. Are there going to be big changes around the property market? Potentially not. We know the Conservative stand of entrepreneurship, and the Lib Dems are there to balance the boat. As professional property investors, we want to be keeping an eye on what's happening with any potential changes. Hopefully there's going to be more house building because we need that in the UK, but coming legislation restrictions for landlords, there's a high chance we're not going to see that. So keep an eye on the associations because they're the ones that stand up for us, and we'll get any pre-changes through them first. So be a professional investor and make sure you keep an eye on what's happening on the news.
With no threat of mansion tax or the catastrophic rent caps proposed by Labour, investors can look forward to 5 more years under a non-interventionist government known to favour business and enterprise. Walton went into more detail on what impact the election pledges of the parties would have had on property investors.
So we're here on election day, and the results are just coming. Conservatives are in for another term. Just going to give my sort of 2 pennies worth on how I see it affecting property investors and the housing policies in particular. I think all of the different parties had certain good points and bad points, and I think that's still the case. Just picking out some of the bits and pieces that I see it, I've got policies in front of me here. So Conservatives, obviously they're staying in. They want to extend the right to buy to 1.3 million houses across homes in England. I don't know how effective that's going to be. They all are talking about trying to build another 200,000 homes. Again, nice idea. It'd be interesting to see how they actually implement that and make it happen. Conservatives have got more of a spin on making it more affordable for first-time buyers, which I don't think is a bad thing. We need to sort of stimulate that market and get more people on the market if we can. One of the challenges that the Conservatives have brought in the previous term was universal credit for how local housing allowance is going to change. And the verdict is still out on that one as to see exactly how that affects us as professional landlords. There's a lot of policies that have been brought in which makes it actually tougher, I think, for landlords to want to bring their properties over to local housing associations or local authorities, which I think they need to work on, because the last thing they want to be doing is pushing landlords away from that market when they're not building enough homes and providing enough homes for the local housing allowance market. The big one that I personally am pleased to see go is Labour not bringing in their 3-year tenancy agreements. I think that would have been a bit of a logistical nightmare to deal with that one. And also they were looking to cap rents at a certain level, which that's obviously gone as they're not coming to power, which I don't think is necessarily a bad thing. Something that I wasn't aware of, that I am now, which I don't think is been sort of publicised that much. Lib Dems had an interesting one, which was they were looking to bring in 30,000 rent-to-own homes a year by 2020. That gives a strong indication that the property market is changing if they're recognising what we would call perhaps lease option type ownership, where you rent it now and then buy it in the future. That's quite forward thinking, I think, by Lib Dems. And I have to say I'm personally very pleased that the Green Party didn't get in, if it's just for the fact that they were looking to cap rent and introduce 5-year tenancies, which would potentially have been a nightmare, and I think lenders wouldn't have liked that either. And again, it would have made it even tougher for landlords to want to bring more properties into the market. Overall, I think with any new government, I appreciate they were in for a second term, but we will have to wait to see the dust settle and see what happens. But I think the Conservatives, they've got hard work proving how they're going to bring in some of these policies that they're talking about. I think from a personal perspective, something that I'll be working with my local authority with on landlord forums and things like that, is being a local voice to say, you know, how can we make it better for more landlords to want to come into the rental market and actually give our properties over to local housing associations or local authorities, because at the moment it feels like they're kind of making it harder to bring those properties across rather than easier. I'm all in favour of helping them out, but they've got to give us something back in return as well, I believe. Overall, I think it's too early to say exactly how it's all going to pan out, but I think, you know, let's watch this space.
So in conclusion, whilst the election has been bonkers for the political parties, property investors have emerged relatively unscathed, with plenty of new opportunities on the horizon. If you are about to retire, have savings doing nothing in the bank, and want to invest safely and successfully in property, why not attend one of the free 2-hour workshops to find out how you can build your property empire? Links to the workshops are below. And that's all for today. See you next week.